I imagine someone would say this guitar playing is hugely technical. Um, I don't know if it is or it isn't, and it doesn't really matter to me. What matters is what it does.
Hey, everybody out there, welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. And it's Friday here at the Audiophiles, which means we are going to. Hello, John. How are you, buddy? Which means we are going to be devoting this episode to a song suggested by one of you lovely people out there in the listening audience. This one is by an artist named Baden Powell, and the song is Samba Triste. And it was offered up by David Rogers, 3875. And it came on our Jorge Ben episode that John, I believe you had brought to the channel. So John is actually going to be, as luck would have it, the one who goes off and gives this thing a listen. And I have already done so and done a bit of research myself for our post-reaction discussion. But John, obviously you're not familiar enough with Baden Powell to know this track, or else you wouldn't be the one listening to this. But outside of that, or aside from that, is there any familiarity there?
I have heard his name, and all I know is that he is an expert guitarist, and I think some of his stuff has been covered by uh, Getz, Stan Getz, and some others. I got a vague inkling that I've got an album with one of his songs on, but I can't think which one it is. Just an
Okay.
inkling,
Okay, fair
maybe.
enough. Well, maybe if this is a good enough experience, you'll go digging around the vault to figure out what that is and give it another spin, dust it off. But in the meantime, why don't you go listen to this track that David has suggested to us, Samba Triste, and come back and let us all know what you've made of it.
Will do. Lovely start. I mean, I presume triste means sad, like the French. Um, yeah, you've just got this really mournful flute in this ear, and it's just making you think of regret and sadness, and it feels like the stuff is floating on the air away from you, um, and you just feel like, I wish I caught that earlier bus, or I wish I hadn't signed up to fight in the Spanish Civil War. Something like that. And the guitar as well is just beautiful, understated. And he's doing these tiny little sort of, I don't know, technical stuff, but also these little sort of runs and trills, and sort of, it's almost like he's bouncing and doing acrobatics, but in a very low key way. Yeah, it's lovely. say something, I don't want to stop it. Yeah, this is. I love the way that came in. This sort of wistfulness, and then comes this, and the rhythm section is just fantastic because it's got that no nonsense. Right, it's like someone's grabbed you by the arm and taken you for a very quick power walk almost. So you've got the percussion. Is it like I think it's a wooden block he's hitting there, and there's a bit of the old shaker as well going on. It all gives this sort of busy, stringent sort of marking. And the bass, I think it to the uneducated ear sounds like an upright. You could just listen to that all day, just those two. I mean, it's great. It really is. But then you've got this beautiful guitar over the top, and it's kind of doing all this intricate stuff. And it makes, I had in my mind a picture of like a little small homemade, even like a paper boat that you'd make, and it's been put into a river, which is like almost white water, and it's going around and doing all this, going into these eddies, and it's sort of repeating the phrases, and going up and round little steps here and there, but all the while it's just all continuous of one flow. Um, yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Sounds fantastic. Bass. Awesome. I really, really enjoyed that. Yeah, I can't begin to describe all that was going on there. Although it's on the face of it very simple, just a rhythm section and acoustic guitar, Spanish guitar, whatever you want to call it. Um, I have a feeling, because I don't play guitar, but I imagine that was pretty technical. But you get people, they say are like technically fantastic. It doesn't really matter to the listener. It's what they do and how it affects you. Going from that chord shape to that chord shape may be technically very difficult, but if it doesn't sound great, then who cares? This did sort of sound fantastic. Um, I think there's a lot of feel to the way they played, and you can see the difference in like tempo was changing, and all the emphasis as well, the way they were hitting the strings. It had a very jazzy expansion to it, and it came back towards the end, repeating a couple of phrases again and again. I really love the bass. It, there's a bit towards a minute, half a minute before the end, we went higher and higher and higher. Um, and on a double bass, it really gives a sort of voice to it, strange, different, yeah, rather than just different notes. There really is a sort of vocal quality when it goes higher on an upright bass. Yeah, all of it's just fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I should be seeking out. Um, I mean, Baden Powell. Who knew? Who knew? The bloke in shorts who invented the Scouts could also be a brilliant maestro of the Brazilian music. Hats off. Right, and we must discover more about this. And I know someone who's done some research on it, and we can lean into and find out what's what. That is Andy. So let's get back to him right now.
All right, so you have returned, giving Samba Triste a listen by our buddy Baden Powell. What did you have to say for yourself there, John?
So, presumably, I think I said in a recent thing, I know Portuguese when I hear it. I make no sense of it, but I can recognize it. But I presume that triste or triste means sad, just like the French.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and,
Spanish. So yeah, you're right.
and that is certainly the opening vibe with this wistful guitar and a lamenting flute that's fixed solidly in the left channel. And if it weren't for that guitar, I'm thinking only one of my earbuds is working. For about the first 45 seconds before it slips away, like the memory of a past regret. And I think I said in the reaction, the flute just, the tone about it just wafts in the air. It feels like all the time, like it's slipping away from you, um, like memories and as the hint of regret. It makes you think, that's the reaction. Wish they'd caught that earlier bus, or wish I hadn't signed up to fight in the Spanish Civil War. Anyway, the guitar continues solo, and it's just this thing leaping and tumbling over notes and time itself with the caprice of a garrulous adolescent doing floor gymnastics. It's just really interesting, and it's all, and I get this later on in the song as well. There's so much touch and feel to the way they're playing this guitar. Um, I think I said at the end of this reaction that I imagine this guitar player. I'm not a guitar player, but I imagine someone would say this guitar playing is hugely technical. Um, I don't know if it is or it isn't, and it doesn't really matter to me. What matters is what it does for me as the listener. And there could be other players of many instruments who are technically wonderful, but if the song or the tune isn't any good, they're saying, oh, getting from that chord to that chord is almost impossible. If it sounds like shit, who cares,
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
this could be simple, this could be fantastic. I suspect it's fantastic, but it is just wonderful in what it does. And it has this look, just such a beautiful like touch and feel to it. So yeah, and it does feel kind of this sort of wistful regret goes into something that feels a bit more um not adolescent, but there's a bit of attitude to it, but not like fully in
Yeah,
your face. There's just a bit more willfulness to it. And then bam, the minute mark, we get both paddles at 360 volts, stand clear,
mm,
via a samba rhythm section, and it is fantastic. And do you know what? It's not crashing of cymbals and drums, and it's not Thor riding in with his fucking hammer aloft. It is
yeah,
just a, but it's just wonderful. I mean, the impact it has is great, and for such a minimal amount of effort, and instantly you're swept away, and you're kind of bonded to this master that is rhythm. Um, it is a heady, intoxicating mix. You get these like stringent beats on, I think it's a woodblock, and there's a bit of the old shaking going on as well. So it's
Mhm.
just really direct. There's a powerful drive from the bass, and it sounds to me, an uneducated ear, that it's an upright bass. I think it is, it must be.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like insistent footsteps down a vast corridor, and they've got slightly echoing. I think that's the reaction. It's like someone's grabbed you by the arm and taken you for a power walk all of a sudden. You're not galloping, but you're definitely moving. Um, it's brilliant. And you can easily listen to just the rhythm section all night. Easily, I could anyway. However, um, the acoustic guitar, because it rides on this platform that they've made, and it charts its course. I had in mind like a little homemade paper boat that's going down a whitewater river. And it just turns this way and that, and it circles back on itself, going through these little eddies as it repeats particular phrases. And then it sort of bumps and goes round and pushes through to the next section. But all the time, it's flowing as one continual adventure. It's not a series of episodes. And like that sort of river, the little boat of melody finds itself on. It's just wonderful. I don't really have any words to describe the music as it goes through this piece. There's different bits where they do these phrases, which are like two note steps and that, which are just wonderful. So it goes back to the main kind of riff that repeats itself. I will say at about, I think it's about 3:45 ish. Oh, there's great work from the bass all the way through, but at that point, he's getting really high, higher and higher sounding. And you get this thing, where I think with an upright bass, which you don't get with a normal bass, where it becomes almost like a voice. It
Mhm.
very vocal. It has its own character to it when it's really high up, and it sounded absolutely wonderful. Yeah, and the expressions and the expansion of this is kind of like a jazzy feel to it in a way. The way it's just gone off on one.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I thought this just was absolutely wonderful. So I have no idea what these particular phrases or like this rising pairs of notes symbolize. It could be the swaying gait of the girl on the beach who sold seashells, or the flick of the hair from somebody who's completely unaware of the existence of the protagonist during double history. Whatever, I don't know. I can't do justice to how this progresses musically other than say that it ends with a defiant flare or something, probably a nostril.
Mhm.
Um, but I absolutely love this. This is right
Yeah.
up my alley. I really like Brazilian music anyway, and this was just fantastic. I thought it was masterful in the way it was done. Really simple and clean, but just beautiful and expressive as well. So yeah, I was impressed the hell out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. This was really beautiful, and it was a lovely merger of clearly Latin music, but with like f through a jazz filter, or perhaps it's jazz through a Latin American music filter. Either way, there is this. There both those worlds exist in this one song, and it's a lovely example of that. Go ahead.
Actually, starting almost with a classical feel and then going into
Well, that's
both.
something else that struck me as well listening to this and understanding the roots of jazz music here in America and understanding that yes, clearly it was derived from African sounds and even early blues of the like the call and response of blues bled into jazz, but so did this like the last vestiges of Baroque style music also played
Yeah,
into to jazz music. Um, and it was I can't remember the television show that there was this scene. It was like in a revolutionary America, And there are these like governors from the United Kingdom that have land in New York and in other places throughout the states, and they're like celebrating. I don't know if it was an election or something like that, but there is this Baroque style music happening within the quarters in which they're celebrating, but outside where the slaves are, they're playing their own style of music, and the way it's shot and edited, the two sounds become blended, and in that moment you can hear the conception of jazz occurring. And it was really beautifully shot. It's injustice that I'm not remembering the name of the show, but really that scene stood out to me more than any one because of the tie to the like the birth of jazz music. And it felt like I was listening to that kind of shit happening in parts of this song as well, where these different disparate sounds are commingling and somehow creating this cocktail that no one expected. Um, and the first minute, which is wildly triste, if I can paraphrase, leads into this other part that is actually quite Felice,
Yeah,
which is really interesting in and of itself. But most of that first minute, the way the music unfolds and the flute and I think the guitar are working together, it reminds me of all the elegant confidence of a leading lady from the golden age of Hollywood entering a scene. Like there's just this confidence and elegance married together, the way the music unfolds, and you don't get that anymore. There's something romantic about it, and so nostalgic that it's from an era well before I was even born, and yet I'm somehow creating this image in my head, which is something else this song does and music like this does, which is completely allows your imagination to run free as far as what images you see and how it sort of like acts as like a musical Rorschach test for you, the listener. And it was a great experience to have that all kind of unfold. And it was under 5 minutes. You know what I mean? When I saw what we were getting into, I assumed that this was going to be a much longer, more epic track, but it succinctly did everything it needed to do in the confines of that sub 5 minute timestamp. So I really loved this too. I thought it was lovely, lovely. I mean, some you know you know, forgive me, but idiots out there might say this has like waiting room music, but no, no, no. It's so much more than that. You know what I mean? There's so much more intricacy in this, and oh my God, it sounded so lovely. So, yeah, let's get into Baden Powell. I'm glad to see that we were kind of one mind on this one though, because it was a really good shout by David. Baden Powell de Aquino, professionally known as Baden Powell, was a Brazilian virtuoso guitarist and composer. He combined classical techniques with popular harmony and swing. He performed in many styles, including bossa nova, samba, Brazilian jazz, Latin jazz, and MPB, which is Música Popular Brasileira. Forgive me, there's going to be some Portuguese words in here that I'm going to totally fuck up. So if anybody wants to correct me or just, give me a little grace, I really appreciate it. It probably comes as no surprise to anyone out there that this gringo knows very little Portuguese. He performed on stage during most of his lifetime. Powell composed many pieces for guitar, some of them now considered guitar standards, including this track, Samba Triste. He released Os Afro Sambas, a watershed album with Vinicius de Moraes in 1966. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest Brazilian guitar players of all time. Baden Powell decided at age 19 to stop playing the electric guitar, preferring to concentrate on the classical guitar for the rest of his career. He did record a series of albums with a borrowed steel string acoustic, but that is as far as he strayed from his main instrument in his adulthood. Ooh, steel strings. He's really coloring outside of his lines there. An analysis of his repertoire reveals a wide range of interests. It spanned all the idioms of Brazilian popular music of the 20th century: samba, bossa nova, Afro-Bahian, ritual music, frevo, coro, and northeastern Sertan music, and even European and Japanese lullabies. There's a curveball. Like most musicians growing up in the 1940s and 50s, he was deeply influenced by jazz, especially bebop and swing. He covered Thelonious Monk's Round Midnight on two recordings and Jerome Kern's All the Things You Are on 3 different occasions, including his first solo album. He was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and his father, a scouting enthusiast, named him after Robert Baden Powell. When he was 3 months old, his family relocated to a Rio suburb of São Cristóvão. His house was a popular stop for musicians during his formative years. He started guitar lessons with Jamie Florence, a famous coro guitarist in the 1940s. He soon proved a young virtuoso, having won many talent competitions before he was a teenager. At age 15, he was playing professionally, accompanying singers and bands in various styles. He was fascinated by swing and jazz, but his main influences were in Brazilian guitar canon. In 1955, Powell played with the Steve Bernard Orchestra at the Boite Plaza, a nightclub within the Plaza Hotel in Rio, where his skill got the attention of the jazz trio playing across the lobby at the Plaza Bar. When Ed Lincoln needed to form a new trio, he asked Powell to join on the guitar to become the Hotel Plaza Trio. Powell brought in Luis Marino on bass and a fourth member of the trio, Claudette Suarez, on vocals. Powell, Lincoln, and their young musician friends took part in after-hours jam sessions, gaining notice in the growing Brazilian jazz scene of the time. Powell achieved wider fame in 1959 by convincing Billy Blanco, an established singer and songwriter, to put lyrics to one of Baden's compositions. The result was called Samba Triste, and quickly became very successful. It has been covered by many artists, including Stan Getz and Charlie Bird, in their seminal LP Jazz Samba. In 1962, Powell met the poet diplomat Vinicius de Moraes, I think I mentioned him earlier, and began collaboration that yielded classics of 1960s Brazilian music. Powell studied advanced harmony with Moacir Santos and released recordings on Brazilian labels Elenco Records and Forma, as well as in the French label Barclay and the German label MPS/Sava, notably his 1966 Tristeza on guitar. He was the house guitarist for Elenco and on the singer Elis Regina's TV show O Fino de Bossa. In 1968, Powell joined the poet Paulo Cesar Pinheiro and produced other series of Afro-Brazilian inspired music released in 1970 as Os Cantores La Pinha. Forgive me. Someone's got to. Powell visited and toured Europe frequently in the 1960s, relocating permanently to France in 1968. In the 1970s, he released recordings with labels in Europe and Brazil. In 1981, he performed on stage of the Palais des Glaces in Paris as guitarist and singer for 4 weeks. However, he had health problems and spent the 1980s in semi-retirement in France and Germany. In the 1990s, he and his family moved back to Brazil, where he continued to record and perform. Public recognition of his work came around that time in Brazil. By the end of the 90s, he converted to an evangelical Christian, to which he credits overcoming his long addictions to alcohol and tobacco. He fell terminally ill in 2000 and died of a general infection triggered by bacterial pneumonia on the 26th of September of 2000 in Rio de Janeiro. This track David offered us, Samba Triste, was recorded in '63 and features as the closing track on the album A Vontade. The song has lyrics, as mentioned earlier, by Billy Blanco, and the music was composed by Powell. It is played at a slow tempo in the key of A minor, with a melancholy, somber mood reflected in the music and lyrics. And those lyrics, as translated, thank God, are: sad samba, we do it like this. Me here, you far from me, from me. Someone leaves. Longing comes and stays close. Longing, what's left of love that didn't work out. Sad samba, that I never made before, just because I was always happy, happy. Now I know that every time love exists, there is always a sad samba, my dear. A samba that comes from you, my love. So, yes, there you have it, my friend. Thank God for the translations. Yikes. But yeah, I really did enjoy this, David. This is a really lovely song. I don't want to beat this word into the ground, but it had this really soft elegance to it that I just thought was instantly charming. So yeah, this was a great shout. But yeah, that's my two pence worth. Go ahead, John, if you'd like to say anything else.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I was very impressed by it as well.
Yeah,
Um, it's a simple, but multifaceted as well at the same time. So yeah,
yeah.
great
Yeah,
shout.
absolutely, man. This is a really good one. David, thank you so much for offering this up to us. We really do appreciate it. And guys out there, if you're wondering, well, how in the hell do I get a track on the channel? Um, all it costs you is patience, really, in a moment to drop a song down in the comment field that hopefully at least one of us isn't familiar with. And if that is the case and it meets all those criteria, we add it to this giant goddamn list. And we're slowly chipping away at it. But every Friday, one of those suggestions appears on this channel, much like this one. So if you too want to hear one of your songs, please drop it down in the comments field below, and we will eventually get to it. So thank you so much for that. Also, please like, share, and/or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. Goes a long way to help us over here at the channel. And again, it only costs you a couple clicks and seconds of your time. So thank you. And hopefully, John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audio Files. We'll see you later, guys.